Good morning. The agenda for today is 9 a.m. roll call, opening prayer by Tribal Chairman, 9:05 Realty Office, 9:20 Fish and Wildlife, 9:35 Department of Transportation, 9:50 Office of the Environmental Protection, at 10:05 Education Office with Aberdeen Area Schools. 10:25 would be Head Start, early Head Start. 10:40 be Enrollment Office. 10:55 Mark Van Norman. 11:30 will be adjourned. A few items will be added to the agenda this morning, as we will post them if they have changes. So we will start shortly. Thanks for watching. Tribal Council, June 8th, Day 2.
Okay.
Curtis Bissonette. Here. Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Here.
Milton Owen.
Here.
Dallas Owen. Here. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Here. Dion Crawford.
Here.
Tribal Secretary. Tribal Vice Chairman.
Here.
Tribal Chairman. Mr. Vice Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Verlin. Sorry about this morning, Council. Verlin, just to let you know that the Chairman and Secretary are still out sick. First on our agenda is prayer. Chairman's supposed to say the prayer. He's not here right now. Curtis, will you say? Long Hollow, say the prayer.
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for blessing us, watching over us, keeping us safe. I ask you to continue to pray for those that are sick, those that are in the hospital, those that are mourning for the loss of their loved one. Just keep them in your prayers, wrap your arms around them, give them strength. That we will heal over time. Just ask that you pray for every one of us in this room. Keep us safe. Bless us throughout the day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Curtis. First on the agenda, we have the Realty office.
Good morning, Tribal Council. I have 2 action items and a roundtable request. I'll submit that roundtable request to Christine with the information. I did attach a couple letters of what the roundtable request is about. Action item number 1, Jenny Payne Land Exchange. This was approved by RPC. It was reviewed and accepted by legal. She'd been working on it since 2008. I just need a motion to authorize or to approve the exchange and contract for deed and authorize the chairman's signature.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by all agency, second by Lake Travers. Question by Enemy Swim.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Yes. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tribal Council. The next action item is MOU with Appraisal and Valuation Service Office, Department of Interior. This is a renewal to the previous MOU that was approved in 2015. This was reviewed and accepted by legal. It's a standard document used with all the tribes with the 638 appraisal contract.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Long Hollow. Second.
Second by all agency. Question by Big Cooley.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson.
Yes.
Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Council. Thank you for your time.
Motion to approve Realty Office report.
Motion by Lake Travers. Second by Big Cooley. Question by Enemy Swim.
Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you, Verlin. Next up, we got Fish and Wildlife. Good morning.
Green, there we go, okay. All right, so I got about 4 or 5 different action items here. I emailed them out. everybody in receipt of those, or you need copy? I got a couple hard copies. Action item is our hunting season recommendation packet for 2022. Oops, sorry. So the hunting season packet includes all of our fall hunting seasons, recommendation, no changes other than the dates and the bonus tags. I guess I shouldn't say no changes. There is a change. The changes to the dates and the bonus tags will now be antlerless. So if you recall last year's, we allowed an additional bonus tag, and those were any deer tags. This year, those are going to be antlerless tags as our deer population manage these herds more appropriately. I could go through the whole packet at once. Any questions on that, or?
Any question? Lake Traverse?
So all of the attachments that you sent are in the one document, right?
All
Or
of
no?
the attachments that I sent? No, there
Yeah.
should be
So
separate
there's-
documents. The first one would be your
Would be that.
season recommendations. That's your first one on there.
Okay, and then we're approving all the other ones separately?
Yes, they'll be all separate.
So I'll make a motion to approve the hunting season, what's it called?
Recommendations.
Okay.
Motion made by Lake Traverse, second by all agency. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Lee Johnson,
Thank you. Crossbow hunting has been a discussion topic for several months now at our Board of Commission meeting. And at the last meeting, the board has approved that the proposed addition to hunting methods during rifle deer season for members only would be, crossbow would be an additional method added into that during rifle season only. This will be just kind of a trial run for us to see how this goes with crossbows. So during archery season, crossbows will not be permitted. It would be the same as previously. They're only allowable for disabled hunters or handicapped hunters, provided they go through the application process and have the special permit. That is also in your packet, and it's been approved by the Board of Commissioners.
Make the motion to approve that crossbow.
Second.
Motion by all agency on the crossbow hunting, second by Haipa. Question by Henry Swin.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. Lee Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette, Brandon Gypsy Wana,
Yes.
Next, we have the affiliate revision. Descendants of the SWO members would qualify for reduced fees only. Right?
Yes. So what that is, that's, in the past, affiliate eligibility was a non-member employed by the system of Optin Oyate or a non-member employed by a local or a non-member who is enlisted full-time in the U.S. Armed Forces or National Guard. They were eligible for affiliate prices. Affiliate prices are reduced fees. It doesn't give them any special privileges that tribal members are allowed. So with the proposed revision that we're proposing today would be the enrolled members. So not enrolled, but they're your child or your brother or how I say it, cousin, whatever, descendant. And we would allow them, once they showed that proof, we would allow them that reduction in fees, but not any changes to privileges. That was also passed at our Board of Commission meeting.
Lake Traverse?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, I have two questions, actually. The first one is, is there going to be a drastic reduction in how much you're bringing in with this? Because I think it's good, to honor our veterans and people, working for us. But one thing I would say as a food sovereignty movement, and this is just me, I would rather see reduction in fees for people that are on EBT or maybe are on some type of assistance, because if they're working towards that food sovereignty and they're low income, that would be a very powerful statement from the tribe, I think. And then the second thing is, if it's going to drastically reduce or even reduce the amount of funds that are coming into your program, how are we going to supplement that? Thank you.
Appreciate the concern. I guess I'll clarify it a little bit more. So what I had just read off is previously what we did allow with the non-membered employees, the service members. That's always been in place. So there's not that many. There is not many. So the proposed revision or addition would be, we've did this in the past. Years ago, this was always allowable, and I'm not sure where and when it dropped off. It's probably about 10 years ago. So it's more just putting it back in under the affiliate eligibility. So what normally or what has been occurring is we're getting mostly children, and I say children, and I mean adults too, children that aren't able to be enrolled. They come in and they want to hunt with dad or mom, and they have to pay $300. So if we allowed them the affiliate, a rifle deer tag would cut that in half, and that would drop them to at least $150, so they could go hunt with their enrolled relative or whomever. Does that clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, and then my other question would be, well, okay. No, I think I'm done. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Dallas?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Enemy Swim to accept the descendants of the SWO tribal members would qualify for the reduced fees only. Second by all agency? Or HIPAA, I'm sorry. Question by all agency.
Make a motion.
Enemy Swim.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson.
Yes.
Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette.
Abstain.
Brandon Imtiwana.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Next up is electrical bids. Charlene?
OTP, that's the self-serve deer processing that we've had difficulty with that, with the procurement part of the walk. About 2 months electrically connected. So the necessary work there was bid out. We've seen it re-advertised again because we had some issues, and now we've mail. If you don't have them, I could read them off. We got one from Amped Electric and one from Mayo Electric, and the recommended one to be approved would be the Amped Electric.
Okay. Council, we have floor is open for a motion to accept the bid of Amped Electric for Fish and Wildlife.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by all agency. $6,000.
$250. $6,250.
Second by Enemy Swim.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsywala.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you. Is that it, Charlene?
I would also like to make the note that that project actually needs some financial assistance. You know, that was only a $70,000 grant, so the walk-in cooler and freezer ate that up, and we're going to barely make it to get this. We can make it to pay this, but that'll end that dollars that were there. So if there's any funding that can be allocated to that project, I'm sure the people would be grateful as well as I, so we can get that up. I can do that. I will get together at the round table.
Yeah, Shirley.
Deer sticks? Yeah, we could even do that if we had a little more funding. We could case deer sticks, buffalo sticks, we could do it all above. One more thing. The Memorial Park is in need of some upgrades, and I don't know, you know, that is really under budgeted. We get 23,000. That is nearly not enough to do anything with all the recreational areas that we take care of. So our program revenue, our license revenue is covering a lot of this, and it's pretty much depleted now. Because we're still waiting on our carryover funds. We haven't received those, and we're really in need of them, and now we exhausted all of our program revenue trying to make this other stuff happen. But with the amount of moisture that we've had a lot of complaints that under the canopies, and you all probably know that that's dirt. So it's been muddy mess. We would recommend that those be concreted, and I have staff that's capable of doing that. They save us a lot of money by doing things when it comes to concrete and different things, because they all have different skills.
Okay.
If there was any funding for that, we could get that taken care of out there.
Okay, can you just get estimates or quotes or whatever of what you want to get done out there, and then that way we can see how much we need?
We just set up a round table and bring all that forward.
Yep. And then we'll have to see where we're going to get it from.
Yeah.
And then for the next fiscal year, we'll see if we'll sit down and try and get something so that you can increase that budget.
Sounds
So yeah,
good.
at a round table, we'll do that.
All right, I'll get on the next earliest
Okay.
one there. That's all I have for action items today.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. Floor is open to approve Fish and Wildlife.
Motion to approve.
Motion by all agency, second by Enemy Swim.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos.
Yes.
Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsywala.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cliff? With Department of Transportation.
Morning, Tribal Council. I
Morning.
passed the report out there. I just got a couple of quick action items here. We can start out right with the first one. The Tribal Transportation Improvement Plan is a 5-year plan. Programs are projects for the TTP construction federal funding. This tip is, and supporting Tribal Council resolution will be submitted federally to the BIA regional office once approved. So motion number 1 to approve the Tribal Transportation Improvement Plan and supporting SWO Tribal Council resolution and Tribal Chairman's signature authority on all documents.
Motion.
Motion made by Long Hollow to approve the travel transportation improvement plan. Second by all agency. Question by Biguli.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Cliff?
Thank you, Tribal Council. Number 2, so change order number 2 for the BIA 711 reconstruction project. We're adding a couple street lights, wiring and conduit, concrete base over by the fitness center to light their parking lot. So motion number 2, all modifications are approved by Tribal Council. So to approve the change order number 2 for BIA 711 reconstruction project and supporting TTP federal budget modification and SWO Tribal Chairman signature authority on all documents.
Thank you, Cliff. Council, floor is open for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Long Hollow. Second by all agency. Enemy swim.
Was there an amount on that?
There was an email, the amount is $42,000.
Question.
Question by enemy swim.
Curtis Bissonnette. Yes. Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Cliff?
That's it, that's all I got
Okay.
this week.
Floor is open for, you have a question?
Yeah,
All agency.
I had a question that temporary street it was that come up from the housing through by the fitness center there. Is that going to be paved into a street or closed off or?
No, we're actually obliterating that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. We'll put the 3 red triangle signs there and burr them so they can't get through there.
Okay.
It's not a BIA route and we don't
Yeah.
want delivery trucks going through the housing,
Yeah.
so
I know there's a lot of traffic through there.
a lot of
so-
traffic through the housing that's unneeded,
Yeah.
so.
And
Yeah.
one more question. The Big Coulee Road, are they going to shape up the shoulders and the
Yes.
ditch lines?
Yes,
I'm new here, so.
yeah. Yeah, that's still slated to be completed this year. Travel
Okay.
roads will get on that. They got some rocks to pull out of there and some seeding to do, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cliff. Council, floor is open to approve transportation report. Motion by enemy swim. Second by all agency. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tribal Council.
Council, before we move on, Lexi wanted to give an update on the budgets that you guys asked about yesterday.
Good morning, council and executives. I'm back again. I did answer some of your guys' questions regarding the REB and the MSPI budgets, so I was told to come back again for approval. So I would like to get approval for the REB increase gaming by $41,865.
Council?
Make that motion.
Making a motion by Long Hollow,
What was that dollar amount again?
$41,865.
Second.
second by Haipa. Question by Big Cooley.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Milton Owen. Johnson. Dion Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Lexi?
The second one was for approval for fiscal '22 MSPI Substance Abuse Prevention Aftercare for $400,000.
Okay, Lake Travers?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I'd like to make a motion approving the budget for the MSPI, $400,000, and move the administration of that grant from Dakota Pride to my Utecha.
Motion made by Lake Travers. Enemy Swim?
Who's the PO on that?
So I went through, and I'm gonna have a request after this. So I went through at the very back of the packet yesterday, since we didn't table it and we approved it. I went through it last night and I read the report, and the very back of it was a web address for the grant. So I started reading the grant. Now the names of the, and I know this because I managed this grant for years. The names, IHS changes the names of those grants. It went from MSPI to SASP to SEPTA. The funding cycles are 5 years. At the end of 5 years, they do a rewrite. In that 5-year period, they do continuations and reporting, and the reporting is pretty extensive. When they rewrote, what they did was they took, that grant had always been, that was the foundational funding source for my Utecha, was that grant. What they did was they took that, they rewrote it, changed the scope from treatment to peer recovery. And peer recovery is good. I mean, you should have that in your treatment system. We tried to get it at MSPI previously, but we didn't have any applicants. So what they did was they changed they changed the scope from treatment to peer recovery, and then they transferred the administration to Dakota Pride. Now that grant had always been under behavioral health at my Utecha as a foundational funding source. The other thing is that the program manager of my Utecha is a certified peer recovery support supervisor. He's one of the very few, but he has that certification. So when the health director came in front of us and requested, to be able to apply for that grant, we were never notified of any of those changes, that they would be changing the scope, that they would be changing the administration of that grant. And it leaves us, I know, we always say this is administrative, but it really isn't, because it's about funding, which is a legislative function. So it leaves us very few choices as a council, at this juncture especially, with some of those items. There was communication, I think in like November, where there was a no-cost extension on that grant for 6 months instead of 12. And I emailed the tribal health director and the secretary about that. Like, if you need us to fund this with gaming, you have to let us know so that so that the vice chair can start, amending budgets and things. And these things were never brought to us. And so this is the best remedy, is to just keep that funding source where it originated, and otherwise it's going to cost us. So yeah.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a second on the floor. Did you have a question, Hanipa?
Yeah, well, I guess it's David or something.
Yeah.
I think that's overstepping our authority. And yeah, you said, administrative, and I agree it is administrative, and I really don't think that's up to us. Have any of the program managers been talked about this? I mean, have they talked about it before you make a motion to change everything? I don't need a response. I just don't agree with it. But anyway, that's all.
Lake Travers?
Like I said, allocation of funds is a legislative
So we're going to manage all the
I'm
other
talking,
grants?
I'm still talking.
We're gonna manage
I'm
all
still
the other
talking.
grants?
I'm still talking. I'm still talking. That's a legislative function. There was ample time to notify us, to inform us of these changes. I had to read about it in the back of the report. We were never notified. So that, we should have been notified, and we weren't. So that's why I made the motion. Thank you.
Haipa?
You said you emailed the health director?
I emailed the secretary and health director. Actually emailed the secretary and
I think if you're going to be doing something like that, you should probably include all of council and CC that, because that's you acting outside of council as a one person. That's all I have to say about that. And then, thank you.
Okay. Lexi, we got a motion and we have a second. Do you have a question? If there's no question, call for a vote.
Deanna Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
I guess I don't know too much of it. I'm gonna have to read up on it. I'm gonna abstain.
Brandon Gypsy
No?
Milton Owen,
No.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Louis Johnson. No. Mr. Vice Chairman, motion is defeated.
Okay. Lexi?
Can I make a motion just to approve the budget for $400,000?
Okay.
Okay.
I like that motion.
Yes, yeah. Okay, motion made by Haipa to approve the budget as presented by Budget Office. Second by Enemy Swim. Question by all agency.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes?
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Yes. Deanna Crawford. Yes. Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you.
And last one is approval for fiscal '22 National Endowment for the Humanities for $500,000. It was just approved. We just received the award letter yesterday afternoon, so this is a part of archives under THPO.
Okay, council floor is open.
Motion.
Motion by Long Hollow. Second by all agency. Question by Enemy Swim.
Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Yes. Deanna Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
All right, thank you, Lexi.
Thank you, Councilman Isaacs.
Lake Travers?
Vice Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we get the executives' written reports at minimum the day before they're presented so that we can read them. Because these things that are being put in those reports in the back, and we're not given ample time to read them before we are expected to approve these things. Maybe not a motion. Strike that. I don't want a motion. I'm going to request it first. And Christine, if you would be able to email them and just let them know of my request, because that's a lot of information to get through, and if we're not going to be notified of things, and I got to read it and dig, I need time to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Long Hollow?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Correct me if I'm wrong, Verlin. There is a motion to that already. There's two of them.
No, there's supposed to be 2 days there.
2-day notice, yep,
2 days in advance of council meeting.
yep, yep. Yeah, there is a motion for that.
Lake Travers?
So, and this is just a statement, Vice Chair, you're going to have to find funding for that program, because we will not diminish treatment services on this reservation when we have this body declared the opioid overdose and use a pandemic 3 years ago. We need treatment services. We need more treatment services. That's what we're fighting for. And so that's what you guys want to do. I respect that. However, we cannot diminish treatment services. My Utecha was built as a response to the adoption of Chapter 24A, the Controlled Substances Act, to give people an option to access treatment. According to this grant that was written, they have served, dang it. According to this document, in the last year, there were 314 people that were served at My Utecha. This is not just a shadow in the dark. This is an entity that is serving our people who are struggling with substance use disorders. So now we're going to have to find funding to staff them. I would encourage you to go to the back of that packet, pull up those grants and take a look at them, because that's what I did, and I was dismayed, but we'll just let that go. Thank you.
Okay. Where are we at, Berlin? Motion for a report, report?
She wasn't on the agenda, so.
Okay. So next up, we have Office of Environmental Protection. Good morning. Can you make sure your light's on? The right button.
Okay. Good morning.
Floor is yours.
I just need a resolution for FY. Anyway, hang on. Travel resolution of $60,466 to accept the BIA resolution joint funding agreement with USGS.
And that's for your monitors, right? Yeah. Okay. 60,000. It's like a yearly pass-through.
There'll be more resolutions coming out.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Vice Chair.
motion made by Long Hollow to approve the agreement. HIPAA.
Is there something for me to look at
Sure.
on that?
Just to inform council, this is just the water monitoring that the USGA does for the tribe. I think there's like 4 sites. Am I correct on that, Jerry? Right now?
Jason.
Jason, I'm sorry.
It depends on USGS and us, but yeah, we got plans for those sites.
Yeah. Okay, we got a motion on the floor to accept. Second by all agency. Question by Big Cooley.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we're just accepting the funding, or you're approving an agreement?
Approving the agreement, because we're like a pass-through from the
We just need
BIA,
a resolution
USGA.
approving that agreement so BIA can give us the funds.
You have a resolution then?
Can you give him that copy?
Hmm?
Yeah.
I brought copies for everyone.
Okay, so it's be a travel council resolution approving that.
Yeah.
Chris Bissonette? Yes. Brandon Jinsiwana?
Yes.
Milton Owen?
Yes.
Dallas Owen?
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Jason, did you have anything else besides that? Okay, we got a question by Enemy Swim.
When was the last time we did a thorough water testing on County Road 1 and then on the west side of Campbell Slough and Enemy Swim, as well as the water near the Veblen area around like where the farms are? Because I've been getting concerns from travel members about potential chemical pollution. And so I was just kind of curious if you could answer that.
Forward their concern to my office, and then we can get it documented.
So they need to come personally to...
No, just, all we need is a phone call.
Is me addressing you enough?
No, what I'm saying is, OEP hasn't done any real testing since 2017, and even then, that was just like a week's worth of grab samples.
Okay.
So, since I got staff, we can plan and plan and plan.
All right, I'll just come meet with you later then, Jason.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, floor is open to approve OEP. Moved by Enemy Swim. Second by all agency. Question by Buffalo Lake.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Curtis Bissonette. Brandon Jinchiwana.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Verlin. Next up, we have Education Office.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
And I'd like to, I have three parts to this report for you today. And I'd like to go ahead and start with my tribal education business, which is the education action items. There is a bid that we put in there for our garden grant. The Mga-Pajuita is the funding source. There's two bids in there, and I'd like to have a motion to approve the Oyate products. It has the one bid that has everything on there, and you can see the amount there. It's over $5,000.
Got a motion by Enemy Swim. Second by Long Hollow.
Question.
Question by Haipa.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Yes. Curtis Bissonette. Yes. Brandon Jinchiwana.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. The second action item is to reimburse Tiosh Bazina for the Achieve 3000 academic program that they use there. It's $23,690. The funding source is the BIE Education Assistance Program, and that's what it's for.
Okay, council, floor is open to
Motion.
motion made by Long Hollow. Second by Enemy Swim, question by Big Cooley.
Curtis Bissonette. Yes. Brandon Gypsy.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
Yes.
Gay Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Yes. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Sherry?
Okay, so I'm going to start on our Head Start program with the June report, and I want to acknowledge these people. Come on up. Come on up. Okay, we have Linnell Robertson, who wasn't able to make it today, but I want to acknowledge her accomplishment of her CDA today. And then also Mary Parsons for her accomplishment of the CDA, and then Dakota Quinn. We actually saw her once on her CDA, but she now has her AA degree in early childhood. So these are huge accomplishments for our Head Start program. And also for Fancy Ojeda, who has completed the CDL classes. So that's also a huge thing. She's in that process, and will continue on to get that completion. So we hope to see her back here again soon. And I'd like to acknowledge all of our wonderful Head Start and early Head Start people, and acknowledge their hard work and their effort that they have completed on behalf of our program. We do have a monitoring visit. They're actually on site today, and then on Thursday is our monitoring visits, which we are proudly able to put in their, submit their certificates of completion for this. So this is huge for that. So I'd just like to have that acknowledgement by our governing body of our Head Start program, which is our tribal council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway, so I'd like to thank them for their time today and for all the accomplishments and hard work. Good job. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Okay. And you're welcome to stay, and you can listen to the reports as we go, or you can slip out of here. Either way works for me. So, okay. Also in your packet, there is a number 5 item on the Head Start approvals is not an action item, but it's an acknowledgement of years of service. And I wanted to ask, and somewhere in this packet, my staff put it together, I don't know where it is, but there's a list of our employees that have the years of service. And so we're talking 15, 20, and 25 years. Oh, okay. So, and it's right in the middle, and it looks like this. But on this report is Angel Roulard for 15 years, Lolita Seaboy for 20 years, Tim White for 25 years, Jennifer Shepard for 20 years, June Adams for 15 years. And then we have a couple more in the fall that are gonna come that are like this too. And so I'd like to request from council that we do a years of service acknowledgement, and maybe the Head Start will do some star quilts and a couple sheet cakes. And we'd like to do it at maybe general council at lunchtime or just before lunch on the first day. Is that okay? Would that be something that I can do?
Yeah, can you get with my office and just tell them that you want to schedule that in
Okay.
during the lunch one of the days?
Yeah, just before there, and then I'll arrange a drum, and I'll bring the cake, and I'll do everything there and do those acknowledgements. But we would like to reserve that time for that. So I think it's awesome that we have our Head Start staff have dedicated people that have been there this long. This is long-term service. And there's a couple more that are going to be like this in the fall. So, okay. Thank you. I will do that, Vice Chair. Then my next item on there is our a transition plan, which I wanted to talk a little bit about. One of the things that we have going on in the fall is that our little children, when we bring them back, because you got to remember we're dealing with babies, little guys, and we have days where some of the parents drop them off and the children cry, and some of them will cry all day long. And, you know, the staff does everything they can do to mitigate that and soothe them and comfort them. But that transition from being at home or daycare to our Head Start school system tends to create a little trauma for them. And so our staff has developed a transition plan. And it is in this packet at some point here in this packet, but sorry, stumbling over my words. But they want to have them come in every other day, and maybe, especially for the early Head Start, is to have the parents at least come in for an hour and help them transition a little bit more. And so that's the encouragement. And so instead of starting, bam, one day and all day and every day, they're going to do a transition where they bring them in every other day and get them used to this system. And so the transition plan is working out. So that's just a FYI for you. They worked real hard with that with iLaunch program, which is heavily supports the effective behavior and everything for the Head Start program. So that's in there for you. Also, you'll see the staff reports. The director report is attached there. I was very happy that we have a couple people coming to hiring committee, so we'll fill another couple more positions for the Head Start. But I'm devastated because, you know, out of our Head Start program and just this agency program needs 3.5 drivers. And so the other half person is a half-time facility person. So really 4 people need to drive these routes. And right now, we just lost another driver. We're down to 1. And so I don't know what to do. Well, I know what we have to do. It's, right now we've canceled routes. We've got our heaviest route, our only driver driving our heaviest route, and that's the best we can do. I did meet with Del Rey several times, and my staff person, and then personally met with him and talk really about the CDL and how we can do that, because everybody is saying it's over $5,000 to get a CDL right now, and I don't know what impacts that's going to have on our community, because our parents, our Head Start program, you know, starts a little bit later and it runs at a little bit later. And so this is just devastating. So that's my ugly news for today. Vice Chair, we have a question.
Mike Travers.
Thank you. The little short buses, I think you only have to have a driver's license and for the short buses, right? No,
They
not
have to
anymore?
have, there's, for the short buses, there's 2 CDLs that they have, and they have to have a CDL anyway.
Oh, they do, okay, I know it. Yeah, I think it's those, like the little ones. Because, can I say this? And
Lake Travers must
Scary?
have different rules on short buses.
well, okay, I used to drive a short bus. I did, and you know very dang well nobody trusts me with a CDL. But it was those little, it was like a big van. It was when I worked with people with disabilities. The short buses, if they do have less passengers, then you don't have to have a CDL. Or that's the way it was. I don't know. That was years ago. But yeah, just an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Lake Travers. Dr. Johnson?
Okay, so it's still a problem there. They are required to have a CDL right at this point in time, but I'll look into it, but they are required. Okay, so we have quit advertising for the Head Start teachers, but again, we will start advertising in July to fill that. We still have about 3 teachers that we need. or 2 after we get the 1 hired. Graduation is there. You can see what's going on June 23rd at Enemy Swim for there. And then the old agency is at the auditorium. And then really it's just normal business. The only thing that's going on that's extra right now is the self-assessment and getting at the applications in for the next school year. So that's for the 22-23 school year. And so we're warning everybody, you know, that those applications have to have a physical and a dental check on there. And so we're putting that out in the Shota. I'm going to do some advertising to make sure that parents are on that now so they can reserve their spot, because they'll be looking for probably school close signatures on those. Otherwise, I'm just ready for any of the normal approvals on Head Start.
Okay, is there anything else, Dr. Johnson?
No, not at this point in time.
Just okay.
So starting at number 7. Okay.
And these ones you need action on?
All except the data reports. You do have them in there. I looked at, been meeting with the 2 schools on the levels of our Head Start students going into kindergarten class, still identifying those transition and what those minimal requirements are for kids going in there. And, you know, I don't want to have the schools pointing at the Head Start and the Head Start saying, well, we've done what we need to do. And so really looking at the transition classes that are currently going on. And so right now we have classes that are entering kindergarten on site. And so they are targeting those specific things like writing your name. Each school has a different requirement for entrances into kindergarten. So there's writing your name, some are alphabet, letter sounds, recognizing letters, counting numbers. And so that's the focus of the staff, is really working on those transition things, transition skills that students need to have. And so our data doesn't look, when I look at that, it doesn't look well. I mean, it's not as effective as I would hope. And I can see the effects of when our Head Start was not in session. We can see that. So COVID has taken an effect on our data.
Okay. Do you need these separate, or can we do them all together?
You can, as long as he lists them in the motion.
Is that good, Verlin? Okay. Council floor is open to approve the reports from Head Start programs. Yes.
So move, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair.
I was gonna make, are you gonna read them off?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll second.
I'll make the motion to accept the director and staff reports, enrollment and attendance reports, the food reimbursement reports, the health, financial, and then do we do we don't worry about the moderating.
Okay. Motion made by Enemy Swim to approve the listed reports, second by Haiba. Question by Big Cooley.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Yes. Dion Crawford. Yes. Curtis Bissonette. Yes. Brandon Gypsywana.
Yes.
Milton Owen. Yes. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Dr. Johnson?
Thank you, Council. Okay, that leads us to the third item on my my visit today, which is the Aberdeen School District and their tribal consultation. So, Superintendent Camille call is here, and we are expecting Gordon, who is the coordinator for the title programs.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. First off, I want to thank Dr. Johnson and just commend her because she's been wonderful to work with and has given us a lot of great advice, and I look forward to her expertise as we move forward with social studies standards and how that will work and be played out this year across the state. So we certainly rely on her and her office, and we really appreciate you. So I wanted to take the time to thank her for that. Mr. Treetop will be joining us here. We had a little snafu this morning, but he is on his way. Actually, they're just pulling in the parking lot. And so him and one of our NASA president, which is one of our student body, will be presenting this morning, and I really want to allow them time to do that. But first off, I'll just want to share a few highlights in our plan, and certainly I'm open to any questions if you have any along the way. Right now, our position is, like I said, Mr. Treetop is our coordinator, and he oversees the program throughout the district, and that is overseeing all 9 schools that we have. And then he works very diligently with our community and our members to make sure that we have that connection between school and community. And I want to commend him. Oh, there's Mr. Treetop. He does a wonderful job with that as far as building those connections. And I think probably the one thing that I've noticed this year is, you'll notice in our report that our graduation rate is up significantly. We are at 94% graduation rate for our Native American students. And I contribute that to just his hard work and his ability to really make those connections with our students. And they trust him, and I think that's a really important aspect of this program, and he's done a lot with that. There are many things in the plan as far as surveys that you can see, as far as things that are strengths and needs. There's a wide variety of different options that we provide students as far as tutoring. We have parent advisory committee, and I think Gordon would probably agree that that's probably one of the areas that as a group we probably need to focus on or work towards, is just getting more parental involvement with our group. But our NASA group, our student group, is very active and has really taken on a role in our school as school leaders, and it's great to see that happen. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Treetop.
Hey, good morning. Gordon Treetop. I'm an enrolled member of Standing Rock Sioux tribe. I'm trying to figure out where we left off at here. Okay. We don't have our other program. I guess I would really like to see if we had our program or our slides and stuff like that, but no. Is there a way we can get a PowerPoint off of a thumb drive? Is that possible? Going back to what Camille was talking about regarding our parent advisory committee, it really hit us hard after COVID. We're kind of struggling to get our parents back motivated, back into moving within our program. And that's one place where we really want to focus on this summer, even into the fall, starting up the school year. It seems that after we went through that COVID era, it really hit our program hard regarding community involvement, getting our parents back into our system with showing up, meetings, things like that. Nothing. And going back to our graduation rates, that was a big success this year. We had 28 total graduates coming out of Aberdeen Central High School. Typically, we run around between 18 and 21 students. I know this upcoming year is going to come back down to, I would say, around 18 students again, looking at our junior high school numbers. And if we're going to go off of this, I would like to look at our program needs program assessment, the rate of perception, which is page 9. If you look at the resources available, APAC leadership, things like that, the staff and tutoring knowledge, we do have a lot of great success with our tutors within the district. However, and I believe this is district-wide as well, even citywide in Aberdeen, we just kind of struggling with getting our tutors back online too, getting into staff. It's really hard to find people to apply for these positions this year. So with that, the ones that we really focused on was obviously the high school, junior high. Elementary is pretty spotty this year. We only had 2 tutors within the school district. Aberdeen Central High School, though, we have 1. It shows up twice a week, and you know, those little things like that equivalent all the way up to the graduation rates every year. Cultural awareness, cultural things like that. I'd really like to touch base on that too within the district, especially given this year regarding the Ocheti Shakumi understandings and things like that. I really wanted to focus in on getting into the school district, creating those teachings. This year I really focused on 4th and 5th grade classrooms, all the way up into the high school level. I had the opportunity to co-teach our Regional American Indian Studies class with our teachers. That was really important. I kind of threw in some teachings of our TP pole knowledge, related back into Joseph Marshall III's book, the Lakota Way. Each one of those little lessons in there equivalates all the way up to good programming. We're going to go ahead and throw this up there. Okay, let's go move on to like slide 4 or 5. We went through the numbers and all that stuff already. We can go through, we'll zip through this program funding real quick here. Title VI, as you can see the numbers up on the screen there. We do have a change in funds coming up this year regarding our application this year. It's going to go down to, I believe, 58,000. You know, that's going to impact a little bit of programming for tutors, tutor salary, things like that. Johnson O'Malley, no change there. Almond Foundation, we still have some funds within that. That's just kind of a private donation there. And within Aberdeen, we also have opportunities within the, we touch base with, here's a quick run through our student counts for this year as well. Title VI, current count as of March 1st was 247 students enrolled in the Title VI. Johnson O'Malley is down to 165. Within those numbers, though, I didn't put it on there. We have 432 students within the school district that, when they register for school, they're labeled as Native American. So now we have to transition between that, figuring out who can actually be enrolled or who is enrolled within our tribes, and get them enrolled into our programming. Grant management. Well, we can go back. Public hearing was held March 23rd this year over at Kaoli Library in Aberdeen, South Dakota. We just kind of give a brief overview, like kind of what we're doing today. Run our community through what's going on, what it looks like. Infinite Campus, that's one of our main areas where I can identify who is within our school district. Keeps track of who's Native American, who's not, who do we need to target. Program development, like Camille was saying earlier, that collaboration with Northern State, PC, and the Aberdeen community. Really try hard to dive into our Aberdeen area so we can get our students out there, show them what life is like after high school, teach them, you know, those life lessons after they graduate, whether it's going to school at Northern, PC, or within the community. Big part of our Aberdeen Area Diversity Coalition, the American Indian Advisory Committee over at Northern, the juvenile detention or and the communities that care. That's a whole nother process there. That's a new one out of Vera. That one is more geared towards peer, teenage addiction, alcoholism, things like that. Native American Student Association, we usually have, typically we have between 24 and 26 students out of Central that show up for that. We've taken them to some pretty amazing places this year. Within that, we also teach them a lot about their own culture. Aberdeen is kind of an area where a lot of our families are pretty disconnected from their culture, and so we bring that back into the process. Regional American Indian Studies course, like I said, I had the honor to teach that this year. That was a turning point, especially this year, to get into the classroom. Big difference. Looking forward to doing that again this coming year. Where else do we have? Tutoring, we also do, we do tutoring, and then we have between 20 and 30 minutes at the end of each study night session, where we bring in one of our community members. We can talk about, they have each little lesson. This year we have a 6th grader named Kyler Hopkins. He's the one that's really interested in getting a drum group going in Aberdeen. That way we don't need to outsource. I'm really focused on trying to create Aberdeen so we don't have to bring people in from outside of our communities to teach our students and teach our families about their own history and their own culture. I'd like to get to a point where we can have those types of things on hand. Here's a quick overview of just brief overview of what we talked about within that Regional American Indian Studies class. Storytelling, we did that all winter. That was really great. We talked about the TP Ponology course. And then once we get our eagle feathers in for our graduating class, I brought those into the classroom, talked a little bit about those, gave them an overview of what it's like, the lesson behind it, the history behind it. Fourth and fifth grade Buffalo classes, this was really nice. Students really took to this, and the goal for this fall before November will be to create our own Buffalo kits. This one I borrowed from our State Historical Society this year. It was still great, but like I said, to have our own things on hand, to have those parts and those teachings within our community would be nice to have that. Honoring ceremony, May 14th happened this year. We had 28 graduates. One of them didn't make the cut, but that's all right. We went through, we did the process of the plumes, feathers. Our program also hands out star quotes and a box. We give out our feathers each year, but they don't have a place to store them, so we created this whole system to safely store them. And that we also incorporated it into our own high school, where we have Mr. Sumner. His class actually makes those for our program now. First year in Aberdeen history, we got to take our kids out here. This was a huge event. Ever since I got into community development, community programming, and then accepting this position and moving in here, this was always a goal to take our kids to these places. So this year, we took them out to Black Elk Peak. We had, it was a 3-day trip, thanks to the Aberdeen district. They kind of chipped in and helped us get out there, get back safely. This is a quick overview of where we're at between the spring of 2021 and the spring of 2022. I think the main part would be the fall of last year. We went into October into Native American Day in Aberdeen, and we really focused on our businesses and to see who actually celebrates that. Who actually out there in our community is supporting that, just like any other holiday. We had one. And this year we're going to really push hard to do that. So in November, and the Aberdeen community within the as far as the Aberdeen Area Community Foundation, I believe it is. We did some MMIW events between Northern. We did the, excuse me. We did, we brought in Jackie Bird. You know, we tied in all of these events through November, kind of did a movie night. There'll be some flyers coming up here real quick to kind of show you what we did. Here's our officers. Kaylin Hanley, Alicia Janice, and Riley Martin. A great group of kids. Kaylin's really been a really step-up leader. Shows up to everything. She's actually supposed to be here for us to talk about NASA, but that was our first date. I kind of ask our kids, you know, our program is geared toward kids, so I always try to keep that orientated for our students and kind of get some feedback of what does this mean to you? What are we looking for? What would you guys like to see? Here's a couple comments. So a lot of them are just, you know, obviously looking for that place and safe space to be around other Native Americans within Aberdeen. Through the winter, we do smudging Tuesdays and Thursday mornings from 7:50 to 8:05. To just our daily routine of students within coming into my office outside and create that space for them. Native American Bonds went through, like I said, we style Rocky Mocks. That was really great. We had a great turnout for that. Native American. It's always good to tie in our humor portion of, you know, what we like to do, what our lessons are in our teachings. Students had a great time with that. This is all through November. We did all of this stuff through November. Like I said, we hit it pretty hard. We also went over to Northern to listen to Miss St. John and the Sikanju Youth Council from Rosebud and talked about Carlisle bringing their kids back from there. We always go over to Northern. Our group in Northern is a really great collaboration. Northern has a NASA group too, but they're only about 5 or 6 students strong, you know, considering our big group. That kind of concludes what I have going on for the program. As far as just programming?
Thank you. I just had a question on the funding levels that you showed towards the beginning. Is that for the whole Aberdeen area, or is it just one school, or how's that work?
That is district-wide. Aberdeen, you know, there's only one Indian education coordinator position, and then underneath that is the tutors. So the funding for the Title VI is obviously salary for my position, for the tutors' payroll throughout the year. Johnson O'Malley, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, district-wide.
Thank you. Anyways, what?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So I'd first like to say I'm really excited to see all the programs that you guys are incorporating there in Aberdeen. That's really good to see. And I know I have relatives in Aberdeen, and a couple of years ago I was talking to them, and there were some tribal members from here and tribal members from the Cheyenne Sioux River tribe, and you know, they were like, you know, it'd be good if I got to learn a little bit more of me. And so, you know, now today I'm seeing the programs you guys are providing there, and that's really good to see. That makes me feel real good inside. Get to see that coming together, and so I look forward to seeing what more you guys got going on with that. And then another question I had is, are you fully staffed in your program at NASA then, or is it just how many? I couldn't quite hear how many employees were involved.
Regarding Indian Education Department?
Yeah.
Just me.
Just you.
Just one, yeah.
Okay,
For
thank you.
now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. I like this report. You guys got some very valuable information included in this report. I'm appreciative of that. I do have a question on the Buffalo classes and the kinship roles. And, you know, any of the other things that you have teaching for the Native students. Are any of the other students privy to this, to these lessons?
Are you talking about are just solely Native American students or district-wide or?
District-wide, is it district-wide for all of them?
Yeah, district-wide.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Lake Travers.
Thank you so much. Out so much. I mean, it's really good to hear everything that you're doing to accommodate our Native kids in the school system, and being more of an urban area. You know, it is really important. So I just want to thank you for for serving those students in such a impactful way. The question that I have for probably the superintendent more is, in looking at the data, the numbers that you gave us as far as the math and the reading scores, for the most part, those are pretty high. I mean, I just want to say that, you know, in the other schools that we've reviewed, you know, these are pretty good. So whatever you're doing, you're obviously doing well. The only thing that I would ask is, with those, like the middle school grades where they're a little bit lower, what are the is there any additional programming or anything that's being implemented to pull those students up to grade level or almost at grade level?
Better make sure that's on. You know, one of the things that we look at is we kind of look at the whole picture as far as what's going on and what we can do to support the student. And I would say this is just district-wide, but one thing that we have noticed is that we're really making a push for attendance, and we're going to have an attendance campaign this fall because there is kind of a direct correlation between someone who has strong attendance and some of their performance and their success in the classroom. So that's one area that we've noticed just across the district. And we think that will also make an impact with our students as well.
So is that, because I noticed that the fifth grade, particularly both of those, and I know that, and I understand that, you know, not everything is, this is just a snapshot of their learning. But with the fifth grade, it looks like they're really struggling. And I don't know if that was, if it's the age, you know, or what some of those things are, but it's a little bit, especially with the math, with the fifth grade is, you know, is a concern. So it's just.
Yes, and this past year, we had 3 schools identified what they call as targeted assistance for math. And at those 3 schools, we started implementing some more intense direct instruction, specifically in math. So we've started doing what's called Math Talk. We've also incorporated more of the after-school kind of individualized tutoring, and then we've also kind of put together, you know, how that connection between family and the teachers, what that looks like too. So we've been trying to have more connections with families to make sure that information is getting to them, because that was one of the things that we got back on our like title surveys, was that students said, well, I know my student's in a program, but I'm not quite sure what it might be. And so it was important for us to make sure that parents knew what that was, and then also how they could support that plan as well. So that's something that we've been working on. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for making the trip over here. We sure appreciate it, and look forward to, you know, if there's anything that, you know, even with your programming, if there's ever an opportunity or a time when you would need, you know, somebody, and I mean, I'm sure several of us would be willing to come in and, you know, meet the kids and visit with them. And our Long Hollow Council rep is quite the storyteller, so I think it'd be amazing for him to come in and tell stories or something. But thank you. We are willing to volunteer on that aspect. Just let us know. Thank you.
Dr. Johnson.
Okay, I have a couple questions, and one is on the JOM, the counts. It looks like the counts for JOM is 165, but the title 6 count is 247. And I'd like to thank Lake Traverse Councilwoman for addressing that, because that was the other question I had is what kind of programs are, there's a huge gap in between our students, of all students, and our native students, and how are we bridging that gap with programs and stuff. It looks like Aberdeen has a good tutoring program, and hopefully that can only increase as for our native students, because it's definitely well needed. So, and those attendants,
I should also add, we are adding a new program this fall at the high school, and we have seen some dramatic effects because of COVID, and I think all of us are very aware of that. But one of the things that this program, it's called Academic Success Coach, and this individual will work very close with Mr. Treetop, and really, and the families, is just far as putting a successful plan together and helping those students identify what their goals are, and just kind of breaking it down and helping them achieve those goals. And we're kind of excited to have this new program, and we're targeting just 45 students, and they will be freshman and sophomore. And because we've just noticed that students that have struggled in 8th grade, that are coming out of 8th grade, if we don't support them as they transition to the high school, we lose them. So that is kind of our goal with this new program this fall.
We got a question from one of our elders, Bill LaRock.
I'm a former teacher, K-12 college. I had a concern that nationally, 25% of teachers are leaving the profession. How are we impacted here in our area? And will you have Native Americans continue to teach the culture? Nice program you have there.
Thank you, Bill. Is there any other questions from council? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Just to respond to your question, yes, we in Aberdeen have a teacher shortage, I think, across the state of South Dakota and across the nation, which is really unfortunate. We've implemented a mentoring program, and we're also offering college credit for any of our EAs that will transition to be a teacher, so we're hopeful that that will help. And I just do a lot of work with the Department of Education to recruit and retain.
Thank you. Yes.
I could talk real quick about kind of given my role in Aberdeen in the collaboration with Northern. I'm allowed to go into Northern State classrooms for their new teachers that are going through college. I actually get to go in there and talk about, what our program is, what it looks like, how to connect with our Native American students. Some of these teachers are already set towards going out into some of these reservations to teach. So with that, it's almost an opportunity to give them a brief overview of how to connect with our students, and hopefully that's something that will convey that their teaching desires. Yeah.
Thank you. Looks like no more questions from council. Is there anything else?
that would be it. If you could approve their travel consultation report.
Yep.
And we can move forward with that. And I want to thank Aberdeen for making the drive over and presenting, and both Camille and Gordon for being here and presenting the wonderful things that they're doing at Aberdeen.
Yes, thank you. We got a motion by Enemy Swim to approve the report.
Second.
Second by Haipa. Question by Big Cooley.
Dallas Owen? Yes. D. Lydia Amos? Yes. Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy Wana?
Yes.
Milton Owen?
Yes.
Vice Chairman? Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you again for having us.
Motion to approve education office report.
Second.
Motion by Enemy Swim, second by Haipa. Question by all agency.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. Dion Crawford. Yes. Curtis Bissonette.
Yes.
Brandon Gypsywanda.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you. Council, Sarah Lincoln handed out the contract for services for the nutritionist, Delane. This is just a yearly one, right?
Yeah, well, we're requesting to go for 2 years. So the first time we got it approved, it was for 1 year, and then the second time we got it approved, it was for 2 years. Now we're asking if we can go for 3 years with her. And the hours are for 40 hours a week, but she doesn't nearly go near that 40 hours. That's just in case we ever do have an event that she's gonna have to be at all week. That's just in case, but we've never hit 40 hours a week ever. Like, I don't think we've even hit 40 hours in a month. I did email Lenny and to let her know that we were doing this, and then she sent it on to legal, and then so we just now got it back, actually yesterday, I think.
Motion to approve, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Long Hollow, second by Haipa. Question by all agency.
Curtis Bissonette. Yes. Brandon Gypsywanda.
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Dallas Owen.
So this did go through procurement and legal and all that fun stuff.
Yep, so it went to actually legal first, legal sent it back to procurement, procurement went to the secretary's office went back to legal, and then legal got back to me. So it's been a process.
Yes.
The only process I didn't follow is I didn't get on the agenda. I just didn't do that one.
Me? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Next up, we got Enrollment Office. Hi, Zama. Just make sure your light's on, please.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Oh, no. They got their rosters already because the workers from the districts came and picked up. No, I got them. Okay, good morning. I have today 36 applications that were submitted for enrollment with the system Wapta Oyata, and under Exhibit A, we have 3 applicants under Article 2, Section 1E. And these are Andrea Michelle Sage LaCroix, Jasper Richard McConnell, Rain Nealon. And under Exhibit B, we have 18, and these are Adriana Lorraine Bagola, Dawson Albert Bagola, Devon Charles Bagola, Addison Marie Bars, Balin Joseph Bars, Isaac Lee Bars, Jerron Donald Bars, Lisette Victoria Blacksmith, Cash Eli Black Thunder, Tate Wachiwi Cook, Barbara Jo Claudia Danelle Dumars, Beatrix Minerva Kilk, Daisy Jean Maestas, Nora Lillian Max, Piper Irene McCulley, Tyler Jerome Ribe, Aaliyah Leanne St. John, Atlas Everett James Tordson. And under Exhibit C, we have 15 applicants, and these are Brian Dean Brown, Walter Laverne Chunku III, Jacinia Ruth Diaz Eastman, Kate Allen Grant, Gianna K. Garcia Byington,
Shantina Doom Hedras, Wochikea Sacred Rose, Hopkins Red Eagle, Lucas Helios Langdu, Franklin Robert Nealon, Ashlyn Sean Renville, Davana Crystal Rose Renville, Elijah Quinton John Renville, Eva Leah Galen Renville, Kinsley Capri Steele Carter John Wilch. And under Exhibit D, we have 2 applicants requesting relinquishment. And these are Lynette Carolee Arguello.
We'll go back.
She's going to go with Rosebud Sioux and her mother's tribe, and Dawn Marie McBride, and she's going to her father's tribe, Crow Creek Sioux.
Thank you, Zelma. Enemy Swim, you had a question on Exhibit C?
On Exhibit B, I was just wondering, I'm going to guess there's a typo on the last birth date there. It says 9/9/22.
Yeah? Oh, that's supposed to be 21.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're getting the right birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, floor is open for Exhibit A.
I'll make a motion to approve the applicants under Exhibit A.
Motion by Haipa, second by Long Hollow. Question by Enemy Swim.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Leon Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette. Yes. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you. Exhibit B. Motion made by Enemy Swim, question by Long Hollow, or second by Long Hollow.
Question?
Question by Haipa.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Leon Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette. Yes. Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you. Exhibit C. Motion by Long Hollow,
Second?
second by Haipa. Question by all agency.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Leon Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you. C, B, D. Motion by Long Hollow,
Second?
second by Haipa. Question by Enemy Swim.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen, A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Leon Crawford,
I have a question. So when I'm reading this on the top, and I've had questions about this, that's why I'm asking, and maybe we can sit down after. So do we ever get applicants that have no cysteine waptin blood and are still eligible for enrollment?
No.
No? Okay. They all have to have at least,
Yes.
because I see one of these is, they're real low. Some of them are real low. Okay. Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passes.
Thank you. Zelma?
Okay, the deceased report, we didn't get it done, but we have 17 that were deceased in May. And these are Phyllis Joyce Roberts, Kateri Ruth Palicio, Lawrence Bolding, Ronald Makinson, Darlene Tester, Robert A. Azure, Larry Levi Finley, Senior, Carla Sherman, Fern Faye Backer, Carol Jean Peterson, Bradley Lewis Brown, Timothy Matthias Ironstar, Bernadette Dolores Eagle, Jean Louise Dolney, Carolyn Joyce Genia, Lloyd Vincent LaBelle Jr., Travis Wayne Max Sr., and Kelsey Jenneth Torrance. And those were the deceased for May. And also, we didn't get the council minutes till late Thursday, so we didn't prepare the district rosters. We're working on them now to updating them, taking off the deceased and getting on the ones that are enrolled, from the last month. And that's all my report.
Okay, thank you, Zelma. Floor is open, council.
Wait.
Oh,
On reservations, 6,247. Off reservations, 8,389. Total, 14,636. Pidamaya, ampetu, dayayuha.
Motion to approve enrollment office?
Second.
motion by Long Hollow, second by Haipa. Question by Enemy Swim.
Curtis Bissonnette? Yes. Brandon Dixie-Wana?
Yes.
Milton Owen?
Yes.
Dallas Owen? Yes. A. Lydia Amos? Yes. Louis Johnson? Yes. Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Vice Chairman? Motion passed.
Thank you, Zelma.
Okay, thank you.
Is Mark here?
Yeah, you just popped in. Said it will be out on the number.
Council, Old Agency District Chairman wanted a couple minutes with you too.
Padamia do Nino Wopida Huas eat at their Oyati tanches a better there you stare you I wanted to bring an issue up that our new councilman wasn't aware of since he took a sabbatical and it was on the agenda for last month. I think you remember, my Vice Chairman. May 18th, Paulson was supposed to come back with an answer. He sent Jenny a text, the Vice Chairwoman from Old Agency, that there was a 6-page packet presented to the tribe on his opinion of the Section 17. We haven't received it. We got to get permission from you guys to receive it. Anything, anybody know? Maybe this chairman has it. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Anybody on council? Email?
May 18th, when he was supposed to have it back, but because of the removal of the previous councilman from Old Agency, it ran longer according to the chairman. That is what the chairman told me, that it was taking longer because of that. So that's why we haven't, you know me, I don't like to bother nobody, so let you guys do your job. Always here to help, you know me. But Jenny sent this to me last night. There's no date on it. And we kind of like to move this along. I'll send it to you, Eddie. And if you want to read it out loud, it's up to you. It's, you know. Unless you want me to read it, it's 3 paragraphs. You guys got time? I thought Jenny sent it to you already, but knowing that the chairman was gone, because I usually send this stuff to the chairman that I receive, but I never received this. What's that? Okay. Says, hi Jenny, I was first asked an error question on this matter, whether the tribe must be involved in Section 17 of corporation. Well, my turnaround took nearly a month, and at that time I responded on November 24th to the Old Agency council member. I don't know if he was removed at that time or not. I attached a copy of that email because the contents of that email have been discussed with council, other Old Agency district members, and Mr. Ickes in early May. In January 2022, Mr. Ickes called me and I explained that my involvement was limited. I shared with him the results of my research, that that the tribe must be involved and own and operate a Section 17 corporation. He agreed. Then council asked me to do a thorough review of the proposed charter and resolution. I provided a 6-page memorandum to the entire council by email. The council can share that with you if they choose. They are the client, and I have not been authorized to share this work. The work belongs to the client, the tribal council, so please feel free to request a copy from them. While I have never organized a Section 17 corporation, I agree with the comments I received from Lance Morgan while at a continuing legal education seminar. There's nothing wrong with them, but I don't need it. It is not complicated work. I don't know what the tribal council intends to do, but I have informed them that I will not work with Mr. Ickes. And all we hired him to do was do the resolution and the proposal. And as far as that is, he's done with us too, because he's not in the business aspect of what we're trying to do. That's where we use consultants like Travis Renville or Ross is another one. Ross's tribe has 4 Section 17 businesses. So, I mean, that's just a small example of, I mean, we'd like to kind of keep moving this down the road. I think it's a great idea. I know there's some on council that want the tribe to have a Section 17, and I think that'd be excellent for our businesses. I truly believe if we had that, we'd still be running our store properly instead of unloading it. But, and I know that was a split vote. I think this Section 17 will not only help the tribe, but also help all the other districts, like myself and Biculi and whoever. Emily Swim is always looking at starting businesses up there. They got all the money for it. So I heard this morning or yesterday morning. Not to start any fires or put any gasoline on any fires. But I know we all can benefit it. You know, we're not trying to do it alone. We know we have to come under the umbrella at the tribe like everybody else is, the college, housing, everybody else that don't think they're the umbrella of the tribe. We also know that our district is under the umbrella of the tribe. None of us exist without that tribal flag. So with that, I hope you can investigate it and get us a response, because we have deals pending that we could move ahead on and share with you guys if we can get this started past this point. This is just a small point, but it's a very crucial point that you support the old agency district at this time and move us ahead. And if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Council, are you guys okay with sharing that email? And you guys never received it?
Never received it. That's right.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Send it to Jenny.
Okay.
She's my secretary. All right. Pedamiro.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Van Norman. Mark.
Yes.
Must have been a good Candy Crush game.
Must not have been still here.
Wasn't that much? Okay. Well, nice to see you all. Good to see you again.
I hope it's not the same project.
Okay.
Oh, did I have enough for one for myself? Oh, thank you. Oh, I'll give it back to you when we're done. Well, it's a pleasure to see everybody. And I think if we just think of where we've been, it helps us to know where we're going. So thank you for having me, Mark Van Norman, Special Counsel. We have, as we came out of the pandemic, done a few in-person meetings in Washington, D.C., and we went December 9th and March 31st and May 11th, and we've worked with the delegations to try and determine the best route for moving forward with the police station and with the inpatient alcohol and drug abuse treatment center. Does it go on the back page? Oh. Well, I might have to read it to you because somehow the copier had a two-sided paper, so maybe I didn't. Maybe I. Dawn has it. Dawn has it. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit, and then then maybe Dion will have the right paper. Anyway, last year we put in for the inpatient alcohol substance use disorder treatment center, and they told us that under the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act, they have a 1993 list of facilities that should be completed prior to new projects being undertaken. And we have been hopeful that this year that they had put in some of their own demonstration projects, which were $30 million for 3 Indian Healthcare field clinics. And we thought they were opening up that program. But it turns out that they're sticking to their 1993 list, and most of those projects are all in Arizona, but they have to build big projects at Gallup Hospital at Gallup, New Mexico, and then at some of the Apache tribes in Arizona. So they did not accept the request from Senator Thune and Senator Hoeven to make this a pilot project, and we were trying to team up with Standing Rock and Blackfeet Nation to do that. So that puts us back to the Section 105L process for the inpatient alcohol substance use treatment disorder center. And we want to go ahead and proceed because they have already made the appropriation for this year for the Section 105L lease process. And what we found out was that we were put towards this 105 lease process for the tribal police station as well, and we've taken separate action to move forward on that. But it's time for us to think about a resolution to go ahead and start the planning process and do the 105L lease process so that we can make use of the funds that are available. And there's $150 million available for this fiscal year, and they're trying to increase that somewhat for next fiscal year. The way the process works is that we largely do our own planning, and we have our feasibility study that we've done, and then we plan our facility to move forward most expeditiously and consistent with the demonstration project authority. It may be worthwhile for us to work with a modular construction outfit and to build it in pieces and have it come over here and put on a foundation and assembled. And that will help us get it done in a timely way by, next year, so that we're under the appropriations for the 105L lease project. And I think what we should do is go ahead with the 24 beds, and then we should continue with the planning for scaling up, so that as we complete the 24 bed, we have a plan for adding more to it, and we can decide if we want to add 12 bed phases or another 24 bed phase. But this initial phase will replace the Dakota Pride 12 bed facility, because it's 47 years old. So it's time for that to be replaced. Since we're already running the program, then we're eligible to do that under the 105L lease, and we're eligible to increase that, and we have the feasibility study to prove that out. So I think it's worthwhile for us to do this resolution and to do an RFP for that project, and start taking a look at whether we can do it as a modular to build it as expeditiously as possible, so that we're getting our occupancy lease at least in the next fiscal year, because we don't want to wait anymore. So that's where we're at, and I think it's helpful for us also to continue with Kate Grismala to, there's a little bit of money left in the feasibility study, and we already have prior action to continue with her to do the upscaled planning for the 48 beds. But in the meantime, if we build this and we build it in such a way that we plan for the additional space, as we complete the first phase, we'll be able to move into the second phase.
Okay. Lake Traverse?
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chairman. So the question that I had, first I want to start off by saying thank you to you for all your diligent hard work to get us those 48 beds. This body made a motion to increase that from 24 to 48 because of the need in the community, and there was an administrative error that prevented that from moving forward. But I want you to know that we appreciate your effort with the congressionals to get that increase to 48, because that's the need in our community, for 48 beds for residential. That doesn't go unseen. I just want you to know that. So the question I had is, you mentioned 105L with this, and I know that we're working on that with the police station, but is that possible with an IHS facility? Are they opening that process up with IHS Medical?
Yes, it's possible to do it with the 105L, and we've proved up, the feasibility of the 24 beds. So I think that we're going to have a good experience with the regional IHS on this.
Okay, so then at that point, if we're going to be taking out a loan for this anyway, why don't we just do the 48 that we have the need for?
I think it's good to phase it, because we've got the paper now. So as we have this paper, we need to upscale the paper and move forward, to the 48 bed. But as soon as we can complete this and get the occupancy, they'll do the 105L lease with us, and then we have the ability to add to it as we come in with the additional paper. And so by doing it as a modular facility, what you do is you make it easy to add on to that facility, and you plan that there is going to be an expansion, but we can get off the ground, and we want to build and get the certificate of occupancy as soon as possible. So I think it behooves us to use the existing paper to get the 24 bed in place. Meanwhile, we'll continue to plan to upscale it to the 48 bed, and we can use the same process and just add on as we go forward. But as soon as we get the occupancy permit, that's when it kicks in the money for the 105L lease. And I feel like we want to get into the program as soon as possible. And so that's why you would do it to the 24 beds and then scale it up. As soon as we get the first 24 done, we can add, if you want to add 12 or if you want to add 24 more, we can do that. And then we'll get a separate certificate of occupancy for that, and we'll add that to the 105L lease. And the 105L lease pays for the facility. And we have to make sure that we're planning, for the staffing and everything. And there are some opportunities on the staffing. They do have a pilot project on alcohol and substance abuse treatment, and there is a program, and Oglala is in the program, and Fort Berthold is in the program. So we might take a look at expanding that program so we can get into that program.
Okay, so, well, and I just want to say that what I would like to see, and I don't know how we accomplish this, but my understanding is that when we did that feasibility study would be done in regard to the need, not the current level of funding. And that's where, when we were, as council, requesting to be consulted and included in that feasibility study, that we would be able to say, yes, if this is the need of our people, because when you read the feasibility study, it talks very eloquently about the need for residential beds and the need for an increase in treatment. And then it comes in with, a low number of beds. And so I would like to see for us to get a number based on the need.
Yeah.
Because we can always create counselors. I mean, we have people in our community. We have a college that has a 4-year degree program. I don't know how we accomplish that, but if we're going to do this, then I think I would just, and this is probably a question for us, who is going to be leading that effort to get this done, and how do we get it done to meet the need? And if the needs are funding, then we can start to look for those avenues. Because we're talking about lives here.
Okay, and I understand that. To move forward as quickly as possible to get something built, I think it's helpful to do this and recognize that we already have the action to upscale the feasibility study to 48. We have some money that was available, and we were looking to work with Bluestone. We need to follow through with that contract with Bluestone. They were gonna increase, the numbers, and they were gonna talk to us as they looked at the increased numbers for 48 beds. I think if we go ahead and we plan this as a modular, you plan it so that you can add on to it with the additional 24 beds. And I think that once we're into the 105L lease, we can add on to it, add the additional beds, and we'll just modify the lease as soon as the occupancy permit comes on for, the second phase. And, it could be that we'll take a look at, having a veterans wing or, some things like that, because there may be some additional streams of money for, the VA, for example.
Mark? I have one more question. So my fear is that we're going to get locked into this 24 beds for the next 43 years like we did with this previous facility.
Yeah, I think we should have a clear understanding here from the council that we do want to scale up in the planning to the 48 beds, but to get off the ground most expeditiously that we want to go ahead and move forward on the 24 beds for the 105L. And then at the same time, we're gonna plan for 48. So as the plans come in, then we'll have the space allocated. And basically what we can do is like a mirror image facility, so that we create one that can be replicated. And if we use this modular facility, it's not like the classroom modular. It's big components that come in and they get put together, and it's a regular facility, but it's built more quickly because it's done on the modular basis. So that I think is the most expeditious way to get into the 105L process.
Makes sense, thank you.
Okay.
Long Hollow.
So when we had a roundtable on this, the feasibility study did say the 24 bed, that was the need right now. I'm in agreement. We need to probably build a 24 bed now with the intent of scaling it up in the near future. We talked about that and it's doable. But I think the 24 bed facility we need right now. We've already outgrown Dakota Pride, and everybody knows that. That served its purpose 47 years. And so I think with that, I would like to go ahead and make that motion to do the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Long Hollow, second by Lake Traverse. Haipa.
I just had a question. Can this resolution, I don't see that it says where we would plan to increase. Could we add the wording in there?
Sure.
With future planning to expand or something like that? Because in that one paragraph, it just says with the new 24 inpatient alcohol and drug misuse treatment center, with future expansion plans as part of this process, or whatever your legal word could be.
Yeah. What if we say, be it further resolved that the SWO Tribal Council acknowledges the larger need for inpatient alcohol and drug treatment, and will continue with the planning for an additional 24 beds to make the overall facility a 48-bed facility through our feasibility study contractors. And that way, we all have the same ability, that this harmonizes with the other resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that it could be in there, as Lake Traverse pointed out, we don't want to be locked into it. So if we could just, going into this, like you said earlier too, that we have the intention that we will be expanding. Thank you. And then with that, I'll question.
Okay. Verlin, Haipa, question to the motion? And I see you, Vivian, you're...
Curtis Bissonnette?
Yes.
Brandon Dipsy-Wano?
Yes.
Milton Owen?
Yes.
Dallas Owen? Yes. Lydia Amos?
Yes.
Louis Johnson? Dion Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you, Verlin. Vivian, you have a question?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I just got a quick question. You go to there, okay, or even here. Okay, the only concern, is it Mr. Van Norman?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. My name's Vivian Gill, and I'm kind of I am a tribal member, but I work with a lot of our clients in tribal court and sometimes in state court. And so I kind of think of myself as being in the trenches. Well, the concern I have, or the question is, we were here 4 years ago when the BIA shut this building down, 4 years ago. And they promised us a modular unit within 3 months. That never happened. So we are, I think, if I'm correct, we're spending well over $200,000 a year housing our inmates. So we're losing a lot of money that way, but our inmates are getting mistreated. They really are by some of the officers there. And so we have a lot of issues, social issues here. And you talked about the 105. Now, if all things go through, how fast can we get that started?
Yeah. Vivian, you're talking about the Justice Center. This is for the treatment center.
No, yeah, I know, it's
Okay.
105, yeah, that's what I'm concerned about, because a lot of stuff comes back to the root of alcohol, depression, and a lot of stuff that I work with a lot of people on. You know, so if we can solve that, emotional issues, I'm sure that we can help them heal and be contributing citizens of our tribe. So this is really, really an important thing for us, and I'm asking how soon can we get that? Every minute we're paying money to Roberts County who are mistreating our people.
Right.
You know, so I'm asking how soon.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So to answer just part of your question, Vivian, we already have a feasibility study done for the 24-bed facility. And so I think what that 24L is talking about, I think we can just do that because it's going to be a reimbursement. So the sooner we can get that done, the faster we can get everything in place. And then start looking forward to the possibility of 12 more beds or adding 24 more beds in the near future. So it's going to be in phases, like he said.
Yep.
So the 24 bed and then possibly 12 or 24 thereafter. But I think we can move that along faster now.
Okay, great,
That-
that's great
yeah,
news.
so-
It's great news.
And
We
then-
have money to go ahead and start it, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's a
it'll-
reimbursement?
Yep, it'll be like a loan, but plans for reimbursement on that.
That's
So,
great.
Yep.
That's awesome news.
And then, Vivian, I also wanted to mention that you're asking when we're going to start the 105L. We're doing that with all of our projects right now that we're trying to do, including with the treatment center, our justice center, even our schools, and then, and we're going with it with the admin building with the BIA right now.
Okay.
But yeah, we're amended Mr. Van Norman's contract to help us with the 105s.
And you are a lobbyist, correct?
Right, I'm an attorney
Oh, you're an
and
attorney.
special counsel for the tribe and
For
help
this
them with
tribe?
congressional affairs.
For this tribe?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, he mentioned Oglala and Fort Worth, correct?
Yes.
And do we have anybody going out there to scope it out and come back and say it's great? Or we will?
What was that again?
Do we have anybody, he mentioned the tribes already have a plan, and are we sending anybody out to Fort Berthold or to Oglala to kind of scope it out and see how they're doing? Right, am I off track?
Oh, I guess I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, well, we
Counsel.
can. You know, we've previously done trips to go visit other tribes and see what they're doing. And we went down to Arizona and we met with the San Carlos branch. And we can go up and visit the other folks as well. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable undertaking.
Okay.
Let me address your other question a little bit.
Okay.
That on the detention center, the tribe has been awarded about $12.5 million, and we've done a couple of years of planning through their other facility process that involves getting all of these approvals from the Bureau of Indian Affairs before we start construction. We did have requests for proposals go out for the design and construction of the initial 25-bed adult detention center, and that contract was awarded. So the construction folks are on board, and we did a 20% conceptual design. They're doing the technical design, and we're hoping that as soon as possible we're going to get into site preparation and pouring the foundation. So that's proceeding, the adult detention center. And then separately, we've had an RFP go out for the tribal police station to do the planning on that. And that was just awarded. And so we have the EAPC design firm that's working on that design, and that's under the Section 105L. That is going to proceed more quickly than the regular BIA process, and they designated somebody for us to work with. So that's going to proceed just as quickly as possible, so we can line up the construction with the detention center with the new police station. So then I would hope that we can get into the design of this, and we can, by doing the modular construction, that we can put this together next spring so that we have a functional center. And then as soon as the first phase is done, we'll trend into the second phase, and we'll be doing the planning right now for the second phase, so we're ready to move forward. And then, we're going to have to look at some things internally in terms of like, our current insurance package and make sure we're covered, for this kind of treatment, because, we need to provide some of the bases. And that can come out of the contract support costs. And we need to work on that at the same time that we're doing all this. So that's going to help you generate some of your operational funds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So I want to address part of the concern, and I know that sometimes we as a body are not always strong enough with getting what we're doing every day out to the community. But one of the things that we've been doing and been working towards and really fighting for is to get that drug court reestablished, because that is it's an alternative sentencing for our tribal members that really gives them an opportunity to access treatment services. So that was, when I came into office, that was really important for me to push. And it's really hard sitting in this seat as a legislator to push those things through. But Mr. Johnson, when he came back into office, he started working on that right away. So we're real appreciative that he worked with the court to get that. What the court did was that they had an assessment with the BIA. The BIA came out and said, yes, you need this, we're going to fund it. And so they're waiting for those documents and the funding to come through. But it should be rather quickly that drug court will start operating again, which is a huge accomplishment for us. When I left the counseling field to come and be here, I promised my people that I would stick up for them and that I would speak up for them. I do the best I can. So I want you to know that at every opportunity, I speak up for them. I try to be their voice, because we have such a high incidence of people that the criminality is related to substance use disorders. So we are going to keep pushing forward with a 48-bed residential. We are trying to find funding to bolster our treatment services and make them more, to make them adequate. Because I think right now, I probably shouldn't say this, it's not the personnel that are, we have amazing staff that work in our counseling centers, but it's the accreditation, it's the funding source, it's some of those pieces that really lock them into what we have today. And so we are really, through this feasibility study, through our further efforts, when Mr. Van Norman was talking about Fort Peck and some of those other tribes, we did partner with them to go in as a group and request funding, really push IHS to give funding to tribes for treatment centers. That was the whole goal in partnering with those other tribes. And so, because they have a need, just like we do. And IHS, on the meetings that we've been in with IHS, they understand, they know, but the funding isn't there for buildings, because actually it's the infrastructure, the buildings piece of it. But we are just continuing to push forward and to do everything we can, because we know, I know, and I want you to know, and I want the community to know that we will continue doing everything we can to increase treatment and to build a strong drug court. So, and if you want to visit, just come in and visit. I'm always here. Thank you.
I would ask council at this time then to please go to Roberts County. It's full of our people. and do a walkthrough. There's a lot of mistreatment going on right now. We have a kid in there with cerebral palsy who's being charged with trying to take the gun from an officer, which is nuts, okay? So please just walk through, let them know that we are concerned. Plus that agreement, somebody told me it's expired. And that's not right. It's not right for our people. We need to let them know we're here, okay? And thank you so much for letting me have a minute.
Thank you, Vivian. Okay, is there anything else?
Yeah, I have something else. Dion just had a clarification that we want to put in a whereas clause to match the additional resolved clause that we put in there. So we'll draft a whereas clause to match with the additional resolved clause so that we can reference the residential substance use disorder treatment center appropriately. So if that's okay with everybody, I'll go ahead and go back to the chairman's office after we're done and just redraft this and get it to Verlin so that it reflects the same thing in the last, therefore be it resolved in a whereas clause. Okay, and I'll work with you on that, Dion. Okay, so good. Well, thank you for that. That's good progress for us. We'll push forward right away, to get this going. And I know Myrna's really involved, and the chairman wants to be really involved. So we'll make sure they're up to date, and we work with them on that. And so while we were out in Washington, D.C., there's a new initiative that the Biden administration is doing for co-management of federal lands by tribal governments that are affiliated with those federal lands. So over here at Sisseton, you're most closely connected with the Wabe National Wildlife Refuge. And, really that's part of your cultural area, and certainly, the water resources are part of your culture, and safeguarding that is very important to the Oyate. So we have done the initial meeting, and Curtis and Dion were there with the chairman and Myrna, and we had the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs, we had the U.S. Fish and Wildlife people, and we had about, probably 10 people from the federal government on the line with us. And so they're following up, and they're sending their regional U.S. Fish and Wildlife guy out tomorrow, and he's going to be here to meet with us at 10 o'clock at the chairman's office, and then we'll meet with them here for an hour or so, and then head over to Wabe and visit with them about the wildlife refuge. Charlene is going to join us, and she's going to come into the chairman's office at 9:30 so we can do a little pre-meeting for a half hour before we get going. So that's one thing. So we're ready to move forward on that. And what we need to do is get their budget and some of the background information. And I think we can put forward to do a 638 contract for the full operation of the refuge. And then our co-management is working with Washington, D.C. to make sure that we're in accordance with their overall agency situation. And we're going to need to work with the local governments here so that, they're apprised of what we're doing and they're comfortable with that. I guess Charlene tells me that they're just getting ready to end their 5-year management plan and trending into a new management plan. So maybe now is a good time for us to take this on, and we can have some kind of transition with them in that planning process. So we're going to do that tomorrow. So if you, Eddie, I don't know if you can make it, but if you can make it, that's helpful. And then whoever else wants to make it, because the way I take it is Delbert and Myrna may still be on sick leave tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. That's progress. And then we also, at the beginning of May, had a visit from Progressive Wind Energy, and Dion sat in with us on that. And they've sent back their proposal, and they have a little planning money, and they're ready to put forward their planning money to study what you can do with wind and solar energy on your current facilities to offset the costs of your energy, and then take a look at what we could do to scale that up so that you could partake in some of the wind energy development that your neighbors have engaged in. So I've got that paperwork with me. Maybe we can take a look at that afterwards and present it to the next session of council. So there's that, and then we also wanted to talk about further about initiating an agriculture corporation so you can undertake some of these further functions. There's a lot of grants out there for agriculture. They have a new CREP extension program that should cover all your lands, and it involves you doing conservation to make sure that the lands are used in a way that for agriculture that protects the land. There's different carbon climate change programs that are available through USDA now, and there's also some money for small meat processing that we can look at. So I think it's helpful to get an agriculture corporation off the ground to take these functions on. So I'll come back to your next session with those papers, and we've got them, under review at the legal department.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
So at 10 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, you want to meet at 9:30? We'll meet at the chairman's office at 9:30 and do a little pre-meeting?
I'm here at 6 a.m., so
Okay.
if you want to meet then, that's fine.
We don't want to meet at 6 a.m., but we'll have coffee with you at 9:30. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and meet with you today. Thank you.
Floor is open for Mark's report.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Long Hollow. Second by Enemy Swim. Question by O Agency.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos,
Yes.
Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Is Megan here? All right, well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you all, and I'll be sticking around if you want to meet for a little bit when you're done.
Okay, and then we also got this American Rescue Plan Relief Program for Big Coulee that needs approval.
I would like to make that motion to approve Biculi District's ARPA Pandemic Relief Plan, which was submitted today.
Second.
Motion made by Big Coulee, second by Long Hollow.
Are you going to be the chairman?
Question by Buffalo Lake.
Thank you.
Louis Johnson.
I think I'm okay with that.
Dion Crawford,
Do you need something?
Yes.
Curtis Bissonette,
Yes.
Brandon Gipsy-Wana,
Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Okay, that's what you need? So what do you need it to say?
Susie,
Okay. Did, HIPAA, legal's coming in with the cleaning contract?
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, I wanted to talk about, our boundaries. I know we had talked about it, earlier in our term about getting, Angelique Eaglewoman and getting our boundaries back, but, my district I want to make a motion that we make that a priority, that we have an attorney, RFP, or whatever it is we need to do, so we can have somebody officially working on getting our official boundaries back.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So when Mr. Paulson was here, we met on that, and he and our in-house are going to be setting up a roundtable meeting to start that planning process. So it's already in the process.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in May. I think it was in May last month that we already started that. Thank you.
They are so busy. Hopefully that if they can't do it, then once we get info, we'll be able to.
Okay. You still have your motion, HIPAA. Do you want it or withdraw?
Well, I would like it as a priority, because if that was May, I don't know. So, yeah.
I'll second that, Mr. Vice Chair.
We got a motion by HIPAA, second by Long Hollow. If there's no question, call for a vote. No. Question by Big Cooley.
I guess scratch that part. I want that, that legal makes getting our boundaries a priority, getting our boundaries back is a priority at the top of the list. Yes.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Dallas Owen. Yes. A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson. No. Leon Crawford. Curtis Bissonnette.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Council, I don't know where legal is, but with the cleaning contract, he is okay with the changes that you guys requested yesterday, and he wanted to change it to Monday to Thursday on the contract. I don't know. Huh? That's what he is on the contract. Oh, I don't know. If we can wait, if you guys want to wait, okay. If Dallas, did you have something?
I was just going to add on that, yeah, he accepted the terms of the contract, but I'm not exactly sure if there's any additional changes. I thought Megan was coming back.
Yeah, it was just the Monday through Thursday. I don't know what the previous days were. HIPAA?
Thank you. I had another question or concern about, and then our chairman's not here, but I think I should just ask anyway in cases. What is our status with the jail? We don't have an MOU with the other ones, with the other the other jails. I know when I talked with Gary before, he said that we had gotten an MOU with Roberts County before so that we would not lose jurisdiction over our tribal members, but we don't have MOUs with Britain or, Marshall or Dade County. So I just wanted to know if we had a status on that, and I'm still, and I guess I need to make a motion for our chairman to get the legal review on our inmates being charged at Roberts County, not under our jurisdiction, but underneath the Roberts County jurisdiction, how they're getting that fee, that fee that they go back a long time ago.
Okay, so how do you want your motion worded?
Oh, no, shall I just wait until the chairman comes back, maybe? Or,
Okay, yeah, we have an advisory meeting next week. We can
Okay.
probably discuss too.
okay.
Okay. Long Hollow? Oh, Megan? Megan, I guess the only question was, what was it previous before Monday through Thursday? Yeah. Are they all being cleaned daily?
Good afternoon, Tribal Council. So prior to this, it was Monday through Friday for Little Steps. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the House of Hope, Warming House, Halfway House, and Dakota Pride. Now it will be Monday through Thursday for all facilities. There's like a curing time for the chemical that's used, so the consultant took that into consideration. He, and there's different times he's going to be doing those cleanings when there's individuals are not in the building or times.
Long Hollow?
I guess my only concern is the House of Hope, because I think they're staying there around the clock. So how is that going to work?
House of Hope, that was 2 to 4 p.m. I believe when I did speak with him, he talked about the individuals moving from certain areas and flagging them off for a certain period of time. So.
Enemy Swim?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the contract with chairman's signature.
Second.
And that's with the amendments? Okay, motion made by Enemy Swim, second by Long Hollow. Lake Travers. I'm sorry. Is there a question? Long Hollow?
Who's the oversight on this contract?
The COVID program, Sunny LeBlanc.
Okay, so is there going to be a monthly report on that too?
Yes, there will be to Sunny. Do you want that changed?
Okay, question.
Okay.
Okay.
This is pursuant to motion made on May 3rd, 2022, motion number 14, to negotiate the contract with Bryce Roberts for his cleaning services. I did negotiate. The consultant was agreeable to Tribal Council's concerns, and it's with United Cleaning Services. Correct.
Yep.
Dallas Owen,
Yes.
A. Lydia Amos. Yes. Louis Johnson, Dion Crawford,
Yes.
Curtis Bissonnette,
Yes.
Brandon Gypsy-Wana,
No.
Milton Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the motion passed.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Megan?
No, Tribal Council.
Okay. That's all I got, council.
Motion
Anything
to
else?
adjourn.
Got a motion by Long Hollow to adjourn,
Second.
second by Lake Travers.